Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good.
Haven't yeah, I haven't quite had coffee yet, so I'm gonna do this with not as sharp of a brain as I normally have.
Oh, you can't. I've got coffee right here, so I'm good. What time is it for you?
It's only 10:30. I mean, I have no excuses for not having coffee yet. I just have been super busy this morning.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
The animals have been really demanding.
Oh, yeah. What animals do you have?
We have two dogs and a cat, but
Oh,
one of our dogs is really old, and the other one is young enough that she wants to keep like being right next to him, cuddling and playing with him, and he just is not having it. So
yeah.
he's in the other room just howling and growling and moaning and
Yeah. I'm sure it's all good fun though.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
always a good time. So yeah, the album's been out for almost a month now. How
Yeah.
has the responses been? How does it feel having it out there for everybody?
Yeah, it feels good. I'd say the responses have been really, really good actually. So many incredibly heartwarming and positive reactions from people, and yeah, I think it's just been better, be more well received than I ever thought it would be, even though I had full confidence in it. So yeah, I'm really, really happy about it.
So going into releasing it, you had some nerves about how people were going to respond.
Yeah, of course. I mean, for multiple reasons, really, but I guess the biggest one is the fact that it's just attached to my name, so it's not like I'm hiding behind a band here. So this is like yeah, pushing your kids to go to school for the first day and then seeing how it goes. So yeah, but no, I mean it was all really good, and obviously it's going to be a little bit uh tense just before it came out, but now it's out. I think everyone's like liking it, and I'm really happy about the amount of effort I put into it to make it all happen.
Yes, that's awesome. So how what was there a huge difference between doing albums with Dragon Force as opposed to doing the solo album? Did it feel like a completely different, like you were learning things all over again?
Yeah, yeah, it did. I mean, it was entirely different really to making a Dragon Force album because my involvement in this was so heavy compared to how it is with Dragon Force, where I just kind of sing some stuff and then write a couple of lyrics here and there just to make some changes. This one was like the whole project from start to finish needed to be led by somebody. So that's a whole lot of work in itself, like everything from the vocals and the lyrics and stuff down to the artwork and what label you're going to go with and what musicians are playing on it. So yeah, a lot of stuff to that I had to do for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. Seems like it would be super nerve-wracking, but also really exciting to be able to have all that creative energy to be able to put into it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. It was like a lot more work, but I guess a lot more rewarding.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was worth it.
especially since you've seen the responses be all positive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the most of the negative responses are just people saying, "Ah, that's not metal," stuff like that. Because obviously it's a catchy power metal album, so it's not like Slayer or something. So
Right.
that's that's like the worst response I've had. Really, it's just people saying that, which I'm fine with.
Right. Which I mean, I'm sure Dragon Force gets too with the people that don't particularly dig power fantasy metal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure people threw the same insults at me that they did at Dragon Force, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really like it. I initially with as a Twilight met the sea, I feel like I'm like automatically transported into a fantasy movie, which obviously that's what you're going for. Um I love the labyrinth, and so for some reason that's immediately where I went to, but it was really interesting because I've never had music that quickly without any effort transport me like effortlessly into a fantasy world, and I thought that was really cool. I don't know for sure why or how, but every time I listen to it, I it's the same effect. Like I automatically feel it's almost like I obviously like to read. It's almost like when you're in the middle of a book and at that point you're already in the story, you're already a part of it. The beginning of
Mhm,
the album, I'm already there. So that was so interesting to me. And all throughout, until what is it? Is it Swan Song? That
mhm.
takes an abrupt shift to a much more emotional setting.
Yeah.
Tell me about that song.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that song I think is the only song that has got a truly sad theme to it because the rest of the song, the rest of the album is fairly upbeat and either has its own specific theme that's neither happy or sad, or is kind of evoking some hopeful feelings and uplifting feelings in you, I think, when you listen to it. But Swan Song is a song that's essentially about loss, and it's about it's yeah, it's a bittersweet song, pretty much singing about like losing somebody, and then the struggle in reconciling with the idea that you can't see that person again. So that like I mean, just the theme itself cuts deep anyway, and then obviously the music I think is incredibly well crafted to suit those kind of lyrics, and yeah, the I think the lyrics and the music go so hand in hand with each other that it just makes the whole thing hit so hard. So yeah, it is a sudden change in like emotion, I think. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it serves the album really well because it completely refreshes your palate, I think, when you hear something that's totally the opposite. And then obviously we kind of launch straight back into what we were doing before after that. So yeah, but it's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. So was that did you like I know people take a lot of time to put songs in a particular order for lots of different reasons. Is there a reason why you placed that one right there? It was like, okay, we're having this grand time. We're gonna get to this serious topic, but then I'm gonna give you, you know, a little bit of a lighthearted I don't know, bye at the end of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like a lot of thought went into the track listing and the order and everything. So I think with Swan Song, it was just a case of we can't put that too close to the beginning of the album because it is quite a departure, even though it's still a catchy, melodic, hard-hitting song. It's doing it in a totally different way. So I think we sort of shoved it to the middle of the album so that you can experience like um, a taste of the whole spectrum of the album first, and then there's that song, which is kind of like a bit of a turning point. Um, and yeah, because you got to think about pacing, like
Yeah,
for those people that actually listen to the album from start to finish,
right.
who probably are over the age of 30, like me. Those people, it's quite important because you want to be taken on a musical journey. You don't want it to just be, you know, one dimensional. And I think listening to it in sequence tells much more of a story than if you just obviously pick
Mhm.
one track off Spotify and listen to that over and over again.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one thing that really, I mean, music world has changed so much over the years, and that's one thing that's such a bummer because so many people don't give themselves the chance to or the opportunity to listen to an album in its entirety, which is so unfortunate for so many reasons. You know, musicians put so much time and work into that. There's a lot of them that do follow a certain flow or a certain like storyline. Um, but even just that experience of where you're taking that time to really pay attention to what you're listening to, and it's not just background music. I've said this a million times, I'm so thankful vinyls came back because I feel like that gives maybe this younger generation an opportunity to have that physical thing of where you sit down and you're putting all of your attention into something that deserves, you know, all that attention. Um,
Yeah.
I hope that that continues to make its reawakening or whatever with vinyl, because I think
Mhm.
it's so important. I think it's something that so many people are losing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same. Like just from when I was a kid, obviously just buying CDs. There wasn't really MP3s. I mean, they were just beginning, I guess. But yeah, listening to there's so many albums that are ruined if you don't listen to them in sequence. Not saying that this one would be, but yeah, like it's definitely part of the experience, I think, to try and try and hear what the musicians were trying to achieve in terms of uh, laying out a story kind of thing, even though they're
Yeah.
not like one concept or anything. But yeah, so hopefully that's yeah, like you said, vinyls might make people do that more because you it's difficult to skip tracks.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You have to get up and you have to move and
Yeah,
um yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like if you're watching or reading a fantasy movie or book, it's almost like just reading like a portion of it and thinking that that's gonna make sense or that's gonna be enough. Like you got to take the whole journey.
yeah, that's it. That's it. And I think it's almost an unfair representation of the artist in a way. If you were to
Mhm.
just pick like the ballad song from this album and go, oh, I don't really like it. Well, yes, because you didn't like the whole rest of the album is different to that. Like you can't just, you know, focus on one thing. So yeah.
Right. Well, even some bands like Radiohead Creep, that's not even a song that really represents the band at all, but that's the one song that everybody knows. And so if anybody goes and starts listening to other Radiohead, they're going to be confused because
Yeah.
that's like the one-off song that they did that's so different from everything else that they do. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is a total misinterpretation.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you obviously, I'm assuming, was a music lover growing up. What did you listen to growing up? And is there any influences with what you listened to, or did you take like a total left turn?
I mean, I only really discovered the genre of like power metal when I was probably about 15 or so. So everything before that was like I don't know, it's like Metallica and Megadeth and other bands like that. But then yeah, so the power metal influences carried over. Uh Obviously Dragon Force is an influence, that was inevitable really. But the main songwriter is my keyboard player, Shaz D, and he's also a fan of power metal, but we both like video games and anime soundtracks. And personally, I like a lot of Japanese like J rock bands and stuff, and also Japanese pop music. So we tried to incorporate some of the elements that make Japanese music unique and try to frame it in a power metal way. So it's kind of an amalgamation of all these little influences, but then like stuck into a power metal. What's the word? Like
Package.
instrumentation. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, you even added that the last song that has Japanese lyrics was that incredibly difficult.
Yes, yeah, it was insanely difficult. Um, that song probably took me 4 times longer than any other song to sing, just because I was really picky about the pronunciations of it. I was sending it to a Japanese friend, saying, is this correct? Is this correct?" Like just the isolated vocal on its own. And there were so many small changes that I had to make that it was just a bit of a nightmare to record. But in the end, I've got confirmation now that the album is out that my pronunciation was really good.
Oh,
So
good.
I think it worked, and people really like it over there because there was a lot of attention on that song. I've just come back from a trip to Japan. They were talking about that a lot. So
That's
yeah, so yeah, really happy about that song. As difficult as it was, I think it was quite a good idea to do that because I think it wraps up the album nicely and is
mhm.
a nice little nod to Japanese culture.
And how amazing that it's been a hype over there. I mean, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really helped. Obviously, taking a lot of influences from their music, and then Dragon Force are pretty successful in Japan as well. So I think the two things just went hand in hand. And yeah, I was very surprised at how many people actually turned up to the release party for it because it's just me going. It's not like a whole band. So that was really cool. That was like quite heartwarming, to be honest, to know that so many people cared.
Well, my goodness, it's not like you don't already have like a name for yourself, you know, and then you release something that obviously is going to be very well loved because it's really well done. It's very well produced. So I that's a humble response, but I am not at all surprised that you had so much support.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, you're right. But I think at the same time, they could have gone another way. I could have turned up and there's like 3 people there. So I was like very
You know,
happy that
it does happen.
yeah.
So we're gonna be seeing you guys in November in Boise, obviously with
Cool.
Dragon Force. And my son is just a huge fan. And so when I told him I was interviewing you, I do a million interviews. I do a lot of interviews. I love it. It's something I do outside of work. It's my balance, it's my self-care. I really enjoy doing it. But when I
Cool.
told my son I was going to interview you, he was just like, I've never seen him more excited over anybody else. He was just super stoked. I actually wish he was here. He's at school right now, but he was
Uh,
like, "Mom, do you know how big of a deal this is? Like, this is a big deal." Like, oh, it's a big deal. So he was super,
um,
super excited that I get to chat with you, and is really excited to see you in November.
awesome. Cool. So is Boise is the name of the town?
Boise, Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah,
Okay.
November 16th or some in the middle of November.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well, that's at the end of the tour, so hopefully we'll be really good by then.
Uh, it'll be fine. We'll be
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
excited to see it. We love shows. He's just barely getting into concerts. He's 15 and he's never really been into live music until recently. We went and saw Clutch and he loved it. And so now he's all about it. And so Dragon Force is actually only going to be his second big live show.
Oh, amazing. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to put on a cool show. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. And he plays guitar too, and so he is really excited about, of course, the guitar work. Speaking of guitars, in the Siren, your Paul Reed Smith is so beautiful.
I know. I
Oh,
know.
he's so beautiful.
It's a yeah, custom PRS. Yeah, I love it.
Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
was so fun to actually play that solo as well because I'm, singing all the time. It was nice to finally play some guitar.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah, and obviously you're still absolutely incredible at it. The inlays, were they a different color? I couldn't tell for sure in the video, but they looked like they were blue.
They're blue. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that the body is blue and the inlays are blue. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I zeroed in on that, and then I was like, couldn't stop looking at it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want that guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could do a soundtrack, because at this point you have your toes dipped in being able to do solo work. If you could do a soundtrack for like a video game or a movie, what would it be? Or if it's not already like created, what would you want it to be?
So I mean, yeah, I don't even know which I prefer. I think a video game would be cooler because yeah, it would be a dream come true to play a game that has either a song that I wrote on it or a song I'm singing on. So like uh I don't know what kind of game it would be. It would probably have to be some kind of role-playing game of some kind. Um but yeah, I would love to say Final Fantasy, but the soundtracks are so much better than what I've done. So like it's totally different ball game. But no, so, some kind of Japanese RPG would just be so cool.
That would be cool. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in your wheelhouse like later in the down the road because you're very capable.
Yeah, I'm putting my name out there, so we'll see what comes back. But yeah, that would be an amazing side thing to have on as well as Dragon Force.
Do you know if you're, I know you just fairly released a solo album. Do you know if you're planning on doing another solo album?
At the moment, just because of the fact that the Dragon Force touring schedule is too crazy, I haven't really seriously considered it yet. But I've already got 5 songs in the bag that we didn't use for this album because, well, the songs are good enough to have been on the album, but there's actually like a limit to the length of tracks you can have on it. So we had to cut a bunch of them out. So I mean, if I were to start, I've got a pretty good starting point, so that's cool. But I think I'm going to wait until I'm back from touring and then
Yeah.
have a bit more time on my hands and figure out like what direction we want to go, um, and go from there. Really.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So already got, I mean, half an album, if not, well, depending on, I guess, on how many tracks you're gonna do, but half an album done. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do a song about Dracula? I love that musician. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula is one of my favorite books, and it seems like a lot of musicians recently have been doing music about Dracula. So what was your purpose for it?
Well, it's actually not specifically about the Dracula that you're talking about. It's about
Hmm.
the Castlevania game series.
Oh yes. Oh
I
gosh.
don't know if you know them.
Oh
But
yes.
okay, okay.
Played them a lot growing up. It was one of my favorites. Him and
Oh,
his
cool, cool.
little whip and hitting the bats and the Medusa. And oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's one game, I forget which one it is now. It's damn it. Anyway, one of the games in the UK is called something different to what it is in Japan, but in Japan it's called Dracula X. So
Oh.
it's basically the song was really sounding like it could have been in one of those games. And as I started writing lyrics for it, I was like, I have to mention vampires and stuff here. And it just kind of wrote itself. I was like, just came out, and I was like, this is cool. So it's a song that's pretty much based completely around like the Castlevania universe. Yeah.
Cool. I saw it, and I think I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that they were either going to remake or had remade Castlevania. But if that makes a comeback, because it was huge back in the day, so if that makes a comeback, then that would be a really cool one to be able
Yeah.
to design.
That that would be the obvious choice of game to put a song on, but yeah, we'll see. The soundtracks on those things are already amazing anyway. So
They are. So my question just left my brain. See, I told you
it's
the
okay.
coffee. Um, oh my goodness, yeah, it's gone. It took off. Do you have someone coming up?
Well, after this,
Mhm.
I got one more interview, I think, and then I'm done, as far as I'm aware. Yeah,
Good. Well, hopefully that'll end up being a relaxing part of your day. Um,
yeah.
so for self-care, I ask everybody this because I think it's really important. What are some things that you do for like self-care to help, whether you're on the road or whether you're at home, just to kind of help find that balance and not overstress yourself?
So I struggle to implement things like self-care related stuff when I'm on tour. But yeah, I at the moment I'm trying to exercise as much as I can and trying to eat well, which is another thing which is very difficult to do on tour.
Yeah.
So just taking care of the fundamentals, and also making sure that I get enough time to myself, because I find I'm one of those people that it's pretty exhausting addressing a crowd of people and being surrounded by people at all times. And when you're on a tour bus, it's very difficult to get time away. So yeah, I'm one of those people that has to recharge their batteries a little bit by not seeing anyone for a while, because I'm not the most talkative person. So I try to kind of split my time between being on my own and then, being with people. So I think it's important to do that. And I often listen to like audiobooks and stuff like that when I'm on my own,
Oh,
just
nice.
things to try and escape a little bit and come back to reality afterwards.
Yes, you're an introvert then.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
same. Oh yeah, being around a lot of people for even a short period of time, it's like, okay, I gotta go and sleep or yeah, read. What are some audiobooks that you've been enjoying lately? Or what's some of your favorites?
I'm actually like my taste in audiobooks isn't really a reflection on my personality at all, which is kind of weird. But I've been listening to actually just finished Bravo 20. You know
Oh,
that
yeah.
an Andy McNabb book. And before that, I can't remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy actually was the one before that, but
Did you do the whole series or just the first book?
just the first book.
Yeah. I I don't know what my problem is with that one. I'm probably over halfway through it. I love sci-fi too, and it's
Mm,
good. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but for some reason, it must not be holding my attention, or I'm not reading it when I need to be or something. Because I've I think I've tried 2 different times now, and I'm like, "I just gotta finish it." I have the whole series in 1 book, though, so maybe I just
okay.
get overwhelmed.
Yeah, it does kind of like dart off on tangents like every 3 seconds though. So it's kind of hard to keep your attention. It's a bit of a random book like that, I think.
It is, but it's well done. It's not like you're, like, confused on what's going on, you know? And I like Stephen King, and he's, like, the king of doing that,
Mm,
of going off on things so where you're like, "I don't even know why you're talking about this," but it
yeah.
ends up making sense at the end. But, I need to try it again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
my
maybe the
reminder.
audiobook is easier to focus on, maybe.
Maybe that's a
Yeah,
good idea. Maybe I'll try it
yeah,
that way.
cool.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time for me. Congratulations on the release. It's an incredible album. It's so much fun.
Thank you.
Even with the um cathartic song in the middle. I really think that's such a necessary song and such a beautiful song for people to be able to have a different sort of connection with than the rest of the album, you know. But it's wonderful and I love what you're doing. I really hope that you do another solo album and I'm super excited to see you guys in November.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, come and say hi when you come to the show.
For sure we will. My son definitely will.
No worries. All good.
Awesome.
Cool.
Have a great rest of your day. I hope the next interview goes quick and fast for you and you get to relax and have a really good rest of your day.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thanks
Yeah.
for your time. All right. Bye.
Bye.